Good afternoon, folks. Hope everyone's okay. Going to do a video on just a play test, really, of the Shako 2 rules with the Epic Waterloo scale. So it's a small table, small dining room table, and obviously I break the units down to basically half the units that you get in the pack. So if a pack had let's say six sort of 3-line regiments in it, then I would make 6 out of that. And I've been working a little bit on the French and a couple more British allies. So we're just going to do, this is my first time playing Shako 2, so it's really as much a play test. And it is on a small table, so I'm going to knock the scale down slightly, just to make so that troops aren't just marching straight across the battlefield in one turn. Although it's not like black powder where you can move 12 inches, 3 sets of 12 inches. I was going to do the black powder, but I really want to try these rules out. I've had them a long time, never played them. I've heard some good reviews about them, and I think this scale looks quite good for this set of rules. So quick look at the table. So we got the British allies. There's a British division. All my divisions are small. So we've got a British division there. Switch across. We've got an Allied division which consists of 3 Brunswicker line battalions and then some Hanoverian battalions with attached cavalry and artillery, and they will be defending. So a little solo game today. So I've set the British allies up as defenders, so they're all on defend orders, and I will be controlling the French. Leading the British, got young, zooming in there or not, got the young Prince of Orange. Is that right? Prince of Orange? Duke of Orange? Prince of Orange? I think so. So he'll be leading the allies. And for the French, switch across. So we got a heavy division of cavalry, standard line division with 5 battalions. Again, just like I say, all my divisions are small. You can see there's Mr. Marshal Ney. He will be the French commander for this one. And we've also got a guards division that are on reserve orders, another line division or infantry division, and a light cavalry division. So the object for the French, for me, is to basically capture the built-up area here. Let's say it could be a crossroads or anything. That's their aim, to capture that. If they capture it, it's a major victory for the French. But the caveat is, if I use either or both of my guards division and my heavy cavalry division, I can only achieve a minor French victory. So if I can do it without using those 2 divisions, either of them, then it'll be a major victory. But if I have to commit to the guard or the heavy cavalry, then I can only achieve a minor victory for the French. So that's it. So I say just a play test. Just want to see how the rules play, and we'll have a go. It's not had a chance yet to use the Warlord Epic troops yet. Still, like I say, I'm still in the process of painting them more. The last unit I did was, where are we? There's little fellas down there, the Highlanders. And I think the Brunswickers was before that. So I'm just building them up slowly. Quite like the commanders that you get. So the Prince of Orange there. Just put him on a little base, and obviously you get quite a lot of artillery, so I just added an artillery piece on there as well. I have done Napoleon, but he's not on this battle. And the Marshal Ney one. So if anyone's thinking of getting those commanders, I do recommend it. If you look on eBay, you can get some nice prices as well. Okay, so we'll move on to turn 1 and let's see how the rules play. Okay, so we're coming to the end of turn 1. We're basically at the command phase. So this is where you rally any units that became staggered on this turn. So I thought it'd be a good point to stop it before we do the rally. Obviously, with it being the first turn, not a great deal has happened. This division has moved up as you can see, and this division here has also moved up, both on attack orders, along with the cavalry division, which has attack orders to attack that flank, and the cavalry that are there at the moment defending it. The British wisely put themselves in square with these 2 battalions, with the cavalry division bearing down on them, although their main target will actually be the cavalry. So we, after it was only no musketry, it was only artillery, and the French, I probably overdid it with the French artillery, because they do have quite a lot, especially with the guards, 2 heavy gun batteries. So there were some hits on this turn, so we had 1 hit here and a stagger, 1 hit against the fortified urban base there, which has got the Brunswickers inside, and a stagger, so that had a -2 on the artillery to hit, but still managed to hit with a 6. And a 1 kill and a stagger on this unit here. In regards to the British artillery, they managed to get a hit and a stagger on this line battalion here. Didn't get a bounce through to the battalion that was behind it, but did get a kill and a stagger on this unit here. So I'm going to complete the command phase rallying, which is basically you roll a dice and it has to be equal or less to the unit's MR rating. So the MR rating for the Brunswickers, because they're second rate, is 3. For the line battalion, they are regular, so it's 3, and same again for the French battalion here, which is regular, so that'll be a 3 as well. So I'll do that, and then we shall move on to turn 2. Okay, so we're about to do the, well, I'm about to do the the melee phase on turn 2. A couple of mistakes I made on the last turn. The MR rating for regulars is 4, not 3. So they became unstaggered because they got above 4. The 2 that were staggered here was actually this one here and this one here. They didn't pass, and they remained staggered. And that unit there also got hit by French artillery this turn. British artillery hasn't done anything this turn. So yeah, so that was the first mistake. The other mistake is for foot artillery. You can either move or fire in the same turn. You can't do both, unlike horse artillery. So that's why these are sort of left behind, because they fired that turn on the previous turn 1, so they couldn't move on turn 1. They shouldn't have moved on turn 1, and they've just moved on turn 2. So we're going to do the melee phase. So as you can see, pretty much same as before. French division there has moved up more further. Same with this French division, getting a bit closer now. As I said, the artillery did some good work for the French artillery, not the British artillery or British allies. The 2 units up there moved into square because of the approaching cavalry, and the allied cavalry didn't really have much option. They have to charge if enemy become within 6 inches. They weren't within 6 inches, but they decided to charge on their move anyway, because I thought, why not? Even though they are second-rate cavalry and they are hugely outnumbered by 2 to 1. So we'll do the melee and see how that works out. So this is a learning curve for me with these rules. Some mistakes have been made and some further mistakes will be made. But I find the rule book, it's okay. It's sectioned off quite well, so that for each phase of the turn, I can go to the correct pages and just work through them slowly, obviously, because it's the first game. But eventually, I'll probably start doing things. Already the artillery, I pretty much know straight away what I'm supposed to be rolling for, and that's only after 2 turns. So it seems quite quick rules to pick up. So we'll go into the melee and see what happens with the I would say a brigade's worth against a division's worth of cavalry over here. Okay, just completed the melee phase of turn 2. Didn't particularly go well for the allied cavalry. Like I said, they were second rate. The first unit that charged, unfortunately, was broken. The second unit did better. The one on the left. It did force 1 casualty and a retreat. I don't think we call it a retreat. Fallback. Sorry, it's called a fallback. Caused a fallback on this regiment here. But it had an option then. You got an option to attempt to recall or to recall the cavalry, or to do a breakthrough charge. May as well go for it. They went for a breakthrough charge, but unfortunately, they then got broken by the second unit or the second line of cavalry. So that's it from LA. So we're going to go on to turn 2, the command phase, where you do your recalls and try and get rid of some of these staggered results as well. So I shall do that now. I was going to do this scenario as 12 turns, but I suspect it will probably be finished before that. But we shall see whether I end up using the guard or not, or whether I can do it with the 2 infantry divisions I've got and the cavalry division. So we'll see. Okay, so I've just completed the musketry phase of turn 3, and it was quite bad for the French. So the French can't fire in the volley phase because they are in column, but obviously the British can because they're in line. And both these 2 units here rolled 6s, which gave 1 kill on that, because this unit here, this British unit here, is staggered, so they could only get a 1 kill on this unit, but also staggering the other 2 units because it was a 5, which is over the MR rating of regular troops, which is a 4. So we got 1 kill, stagger, and 3 staggered units from that volley. Also, we also did the skirmish fire, which was what initially staggered this battalion here anyway. Then this battalion here, which is the Highlanders, they rolled a straight 6, so it was 2 kills on this on the closest unit, and then a stagger on the remaining unit. It's my own fault really, because the way I laid out the battalions at the back to support both the 2 front battalions, or the 3 front battalions, but it also meant that they received some of the fire as well. This battalion didn't do anything. I think it rolled a 3. And then going over to here, the skirmishers both managed, because fire is simultaneous, both managed to take each other out, so the Brunswick skirmishers and the French skirmishers. So that just left the second-rate Brunswick troops. This unit here didn't do anything. I think they rolled a 2, plus they already staggered, so it's a -1. But this unit here did manage to get a stagger on this front unit here. Although they didn't get a kill, they did get an MR of over 4. I think it might maybe 5, maybe. I think it was 5. But anyway, it staggered this unit here, so not too much damage on this division, and they are going up against the second-rate troops really. But yeah, a lot of damage on this French division. So I've got to do the recalls next, or the command phase, and we'll see what happens there. The cavalry division basically moved up onto the flank now. Obviously these are still in square. Nothing much happening there, but I'll measure the distance, but because of their orders, I put their orders to go around the flank, so they are going to have to charge those squares, which is not gonna bother. I think there's a rule that they have to charge if they're within 6 inches. I'll double check that. But yeah, I'll do the recall for command phase, and then we'll move on to turn 4. So just finished the the movement phase and the volley phase. So these French line battalions charged in. They have received close fire from the British line battalions, but not too much damage. Better than I thought it was going to turn out, to be honest. I don't know what's going on with this battalion here, but twice now it's failed to get a successful volley, or a successful hit on anyone. And then moving over to the centre, so the Brunswick line battalion here did very well actually. Got a straight 6, so it was 2 kills on the line battalion that's charged in. Again, it was closed fire, so they get the +1. It didn't matter anyway because they rolled a straight 6. Not as good with the other Brunswick battalion. The squares can't fire, but they have been charged by the lancers and the chasseurs. I did check the rules, and because they were under attack orders, if they're within 6 inches of 6 inches on the 25mm rules, but it's actually 4 inches. They have to charge even though it is a square. So I'm not fancying. They do have a bonus because they're lancers against a square, but against a formed square, even though it's their second-rate infantry, I'm not fancying their chances there. But I can't get orders to them quick enough to stop them from to have stopped them from going on the flank, because that's what I originally did, and I didn't send out any ADCs to change their orders to stop them. So we'll see what happens. So we're going to move on to the melee phase now, and it should get quite interesting because there's quite a lot of units in melee, and we'll see what happens. As yet, guard and heavy brigade, heavy division of cavalry is not committed. Obviously, if I do commit one, I will commit the other. There's no point not doing for a minor victory, but still on course at the moment for a major victory, depending on, I think, more how this this division here does on this turn, on this melee. So we'll see what happens. Okay, just on the melee phase. So I thought I'd do a quick recap before we go on to the command phase, where I attempt recalls, divisional morale, etc. So not great on my left flank. They my division that went in, the 2 battalions are in fallback at the moment because they lost their combat. This unit obviously hasn't made contact. It'll charge on the next move, along with the other 2. But depending on how these 2 units are now, I might have to do a division of morale on them. I'll check that out. More success in the centre. Well, a lot more success in the centre. Both the Brunswicker battalions lost their combats and were broken. I did take some casualties, you can see there. Mixed bag on the with the cavalry. Did pretty well though, I suppose. So the first there was some very good dice throwing, because cavalry, when they're attacking squares, they use the I think it's called the disordered MR. It's basically the normal MR is 4, and they only use 1. But both my cavalry units were 6. So this cavalry, this lancer unit here, managed to break a square and then take out the artillery on its breakthrough charge. The second unit, not as successful, initially charged a battery, which was successful. And then it did a breakthrough charge onto this square here, and it, to be honest, it only lost by 1, but that was enough to cause it to fall back, which is why it's over there. So again, these may have to do a division of morale, but at least they managed to break a square. So a bit mixed at the moment. Casualties are starting to mount up, but we're in a very good position in the centre. Which is obviously the main goal is to take that built-up area there. So we'll see how things play out, especially on my left. As yet, no commitment for the guard, not yet anyway. So we'll move on to turn 5. Okay, so about to go into the melee phase on turn 5. So I did the movement phase. And then did the I did the artillery phase, the movement phase, and then the musket phase. Obviously closing fire for these ones because they were charged by the 2 French battalions. Well, 3 French battalions have all gone in. As you can see there, they've taken some hits and some staggers. So I don't fancy my chances there, but we'll see. No hits taken on the French battalions that are attacking the town sector at the moment, and I think this unit took 2 hits actually, because the Hanoverian battalion there rolled a straight 6 for their musketry, for their volley fire. The cavalry have charged the square. Squares can't fire, but obviously they get a big bonus when it comes to actually fighting in a melee. The only other unit left, left in that division, other than the one that's charging the square, is the one that was blown on the last charge when it successfully took out a square and a artillery battery. So now that's recalled there. No divisional failures actually. They all passed. This one obviously was at 50%. This division, the light cavalry division. So that was the one in most danger of being demoralised, but successful. And again, with the Allied division that lost 2 Brunswicker battalions, they didn't fail their divisional morale either, so they're all good. So we'll move on to the melee phase on turn 5, and we'll see what happens next. Okay, just finished the melee phase and about to go into the command phase. It did not go well for me, not at all. I just could not get. I could just not break this British division. It was mostly the volley fire that did the most damage, and then obviously going into the combat. All 3 of my battalions left in that division failed their combats, and all of them got to do. Sorry, the 2 battalions that failed. The other one was actually on a recall from the previous melee. So they're all going to have to do recalls and see whether how that'll affect the divisional morale. So not good on that side, and not much better in the centre. The 2 French battalions that are attacking the built-up area with the Brunswickers. Brunswickers did really well and broke 1 unit, and obviously the other unit, because it was a multiple melee, had to recall as well, so that's why they're there. And same again, the Hanoverian unit there managed to defeat these 2 battalions, or defeated. You throw a dice for each battalion, and then you pick the best one, and that's the one that's going to be sort of the leading battalion in the combat. But the result applies to both, and if there's more than 1 kill, you spread them across the battalions. If not, it goes on the battalion that you selected. But either way, the combat was lost by myself, being the French, and so I'm going to have to do once I've done the recalls, I may lose some units here for being broken, which means divisional morale will be affected. So we'll see what happens there. It's looking very likely that the Guard are going to have to step up, because I can't see with what I've got left that I can break that British line or that Allied line. More success for the Allies on the hill. The Lancers, the Chasseurs, I think it was the first Chasseurs, charged obviously the square, but couldn't break it, and obviously they were pushed back, and that's where they are now. So if they pass their test, this division is still going to be at 50%, but I still have to roll for it. So see what happens. Beginning of that turn, I did actually deploy my little messenger there, but I think I deployed him just a little bit too late, because I wanted really to stop those Lancers and Chasseurs from actually keep impacting on this hill, because I couldn't see him repeating that first success against one of the battalions in square. So yeah, the Guard are definitely going to have to step up. So the most I can get out of this is a minor victory for the French, and on the next turn 6, they will be marching forward along with the heavy cavalry division on the left flank. But like I said, the British are pretty much in good nick. They got 2 hits there, 1 hit on that battalion there, but it's definitely the volleys that have made the difference going into close combat. So let's see what I can do to try and claw victory back from this. Okay, so I completed turn 6. There was no command phase as such, because there wasn't that much left of my actual divisions. So basically what happened on this turn was the light cavalry brigade got down to 25%, which means it's broken brigade, so they've gone. So one of the units failed its recall. On the division on my left, well, as you can see, there's a big empty space there. That's not from failing any recalls, because they actually passed all their recalls, but then they got absolutely hammered by the British line battalions there. They were already all 3 of them, well, the 3 battalions were on 3 hits, and their MR was 4 for being regulars, so 1 more hit each, and that's exactly what they got. So that whole division was knocked down to 25%, which means again that it's broken. My centre division is now on defend orders because it's demoralised. That's why that white marker's on the divisional commander there. So they can't advance. They're at 50% as well. If they lose another unit, another battalion, then they will be knocked to 25% and be broken. The guard have started to move up now, just one move, because they were right next to Mr. Ney there. So I didn't dispatch an ADC because it seems a bit pointless if he's right next to the guard. But I did dispatch an ADC over to the heavy cavalry division. Hasn't quite reached there yet, so they won't be coming into action for at least another move. I'll probably fast forward a little bit on these moves now, because with this division now being basically static, they're not going to do anything. They're not going to be moving forward. They're on defend orders now. It's going to take a couple of moves for the guard to get up there. In the meantime, the allies are obviously going to reorganise their line. I'm just going to sledgehammer up the front, up the centre, sorry, and see if I can take the town. That's my option with the guard. Nothing fancy, just sledgehammer straight up the centre. And once the heavy cavalry come involved, I'll probably I've set them orders to basically go on attack orders up to a point. So I'm only going to not all the way up to the town. I'm only putting them attack orders, and then they'll go on to defend orders. So we'll I'll skip a few turns until we get into some action, and then it's the good old British line and Allied line infantry against the guard, I think. So let's see if we have a repeat of history. Okay, so here we are, beginning of turn 8. So still there's 12 moves to the game. 12 turns to the game. So still got 4 turns to make an impact. Again, as I said before, this division here, what's left of the division, 50% of it is on defend orders. The guard have now moved up. I'm about to start. I'll do the artillery phase first, and then it'll be movement and then musketry. And the cavalry division has moved up. It's a bit slower due to its having to receive ADC orders. They're going to move up. They've got one more turn to move up, and then they're on defend orders. But obviously they'll be right next to Marshal Ney, so should he need to push them in, I'm not going to make the mistake of putting the cavalry division up against totally formed squares that have not been impacted by anything. So I'll see what the guard do first. The allies, obviously I'm playing the allies as well, but I made the obvious choice that they would try and bring all their battalions into the centre to defend against this one big push, which is exactly what they've done. And then we'll see. Beginning of turn 8, so we'll see what develops. Okay, so just finished turn 8 now. Bit of a mixed bag, this one. So obviously the guard, being the guard, they did quite well. A lot of hits. They can take 6. So where a normal regular unit is 4, an MR of 4, elite units are MR of 5, guards are MR of 6, so they can take a lot of hits. But they did take this battalion in particular took 5 hits. One battalion was broken in the melee, so the British actually did very well on this side, on this part. But I did manage to take the Brunswickers out that were in the built-up area there. You see there, one of the middle guard battalions are just inside. And taking out that Brunswicker battalion actually knocked that division, the Allied division, down to 25%, so that the entire division was broken, which means just the one Allied division now. Again, not too bad. They did lose a battalion, as you can see there, but they're pretty much unscathed, really. They haven't taken many hits, so they're still pretty solid. But I think I'll probably just about get a minor victory here. But obviously, when you actually tally up how many units I've lost, then it's not great for the French. I know I've already lost 1 guard battalion, so we'll see what happens on turn 9. But I suspect turn 9 will be the finishing turn. I only have to hold the town. I have to at least one battalion holding the urban area for one full turn. So this doesn't count as a full turn because they only just got into it, so the next turn will be a full turn. So we'll see what the British can do. Okay, so I'm going to call it there. I would say a minor victory for the French, because I had to use the Guard and the heavy cavalry, although the heavy cavalry never actually got involved. But I think it was more likely to be a draw because of the heavy casualties that the French had. So in total, we have the Allies lost 7 line battalions and 2 cavalry regiments. Bear in mind that most of those line battalions were second-rate troops, whereas the French lost 7 line battalions, regular line battalions, and 2 guard battalions, plus 4 cavalry regiments. So heavy losses for the French. And we only managed to, well, I won't say it's last time, the light is fading in the conservatory, but we only managed to get the built-up area with the help of the Guard. And again, heavy losses. Even the Guards took 2 battalions lost. So yeah, slight minor French victory, shall I say. So what do I think of the rules? Well, as you can imagine, first time you're playing a set of rules, a lot of flickering through the pages, going back. But I find the book quite good for indexing and being able to look up rules and stuff. So yeah, I quite enjoyed the rules. I think it's set more for Napoleonic because it's specific to Napoleonic period rather than Black Powder. I do like Black Powder. Black Powder are a lot of fun. And even with the, obviously you can get all the amendments and such. But it's nice to have an alternative set of rules as well. And yeah, I did enjoy these, and the fact that I was a little bit worried about the line battalions moving up onto the Allied British battalion lines and just being able to steamroll them, but as I soon found out, it's quite difficult because the British are very good at volley. Well, they actually don't get any bonuses for volley fire for being British or anything like that, but obviously they are regular troops, so they can withstand more. And the fact that columns can't fire, whereas line, obviously units in line can, that makes it obviously a big difference when you're going forward. So yeah, enjoyed the rules. Probably made a lot of mistakes. Definitely made mistakes with the ADCs and deploying orders and such, and gonna have a flick through the rule book and just go over a few things again. So far so good. As I enjoyed it, and this was just a test game to see how I find the rules, and yeah, they played well. I think so anyway. And I shall be having a good read through again, see what I've missed, and see what I could have done better. Thanks for watching. Cheers.